Yes, the time of the year that everybody, in terms of motorcyclists, hates. That's right. It's time to put them away. Depressing, I know. But not too bad, I guess. It's still supposed to be nice enough tomorrow, potentially later on today, to where we can go for a ride. So I'm going to take the Halcyon 450 out for a ride tomorrow, I think. Welcome back, by the way. How you doing? This is the time of the year, though, where all my bikes get gone through. I do oil changes, tire checkups, all that kind of stuff. But earlier in the winter, I like to work on specific bikes with specific upgrades. I got two that I want to focus on this year. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, which we'll be doing a video on all of the accessorized that will go on that pretty soon. And then the Janus Gryffin 250, chassis number 19, mind you. We are going to throw a bunch of new parts at this bike. I've been riding the absolute crap out of this thing this year, and it really deserves some upgrades and some repairs. So yeah, let's take a look at what we got in store for the bike today, and hopefully we can tear some stuff apart and get some stuff replaced. Let me show you what we got brewing today. Alrighty, let's take a look what we got here. So first things first, very obvious, tires. Obviously we need tires. The factory rubber obviously looks really good, but there's a major problem with it in that the original tires are 8 years old. That's right, these tires are original to this bike. When I bought it from the third owner, it still only had 275 miles on it. And we have put, this thing's up to 1,000 miles now. Doesn't sound like a whole lot for a motorcycle, especially from a motorcycle from 2018. I mean, I'm not very good at math, but that's almost 8 years ago. Holy crap, does time fly. Any hooser. So, fresh tires. These tires are starting to dry rot, starting to get weather checked a little bit, and they're getting hard. I was a former tire technician, so when I see old rubber, I change it. Janus was having a sale on their website, 20% off everything. So I was like, well, let's see what they got. So this is the Shinko 244. This is what this bike was originally equipped with. It's what it originally came with. I wanted to get the Shinko 241s, which is a little bit knobbier, a little bit more aggressive, trail tires, you may know. But Janus was, they put Duros on all their on their bikes now. So this is a Duro, kind of more or less just like a knobby street tire, I guess. And they're all right. They're soft. They're pretty good. And I might come to regret putting these on. But I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at them, and they actually look pretty nice. I mean, this is the rear tire, and this thing is very beefy. So I say we give them a shot. Worst case scenario, I don't like them, we pull them off and we throw something else on. So yeah, I figured for $100 for the pair, let's give them a shot. So we're going to go ahead and do tires, front and rear, and then we are going to run those and see what we think. So yeah, next order of business is the taillight. I already had to kind of start taking it apart a little bit because I had to get the measurements for the new taillight, because the existing taillight is only so like wide in terms of its bolts. So what I did, went on Amazon and I found a LED taillight that goes in here. It's a little more modern than what I would like, but I mean, I want to do LED. And the original taillight housing is too big, because what the problem I found is that it sits up inside here, and with this rack, you put too much weight on it, the rack will kind of sag down a little bit. And actually, that's exactly what happened. I was hauling a battery, rack sagged down and broke my lens. So I'm not butthurt about it or anything, but I want to go with something a little smaller, a little lower, and brighter, and LED. So that's exactly what we did. Ordered one up on Amazon. That should come in here in 2 days, and then we will go ahead and swap that in. And then the next, I'd say the most major, is the performance. I want to change the carburetor to a Nibi carburetor. This Keihin carburetor is okay, but it's leaned out from factory, and it's kind of restrictive, so we're going to put one of those on, along with a different intake boot. And then an exhaust. Oh boy, I am so excited about the exhaust for this thing. It's coming from Motocult. If you guys haven't heard of them, they are really big in the Chinese engine CG250 world. They make a ton of performance parts for these CG250s. Anywhere from cams to exhausts to carburation to cylinder heads, jugs, to bump them up to a big bore kits. Like, you name it, it's all there. So anyway, took advantage of that opportunity. Super thankful that they're around and they've done the engineering and everything, and they have came up with a kit specifically for this bike called the Breathe Easy Kit. So I went ahead and ordered that up. It's a full exhaust, and it's the carburetor that comes with it, and all of the instructions and goodies and everything you need to know to tune it up and get it dialed in, so that way this thing fires up no problem at the crank of a button or first kick. And then, of course, power. You're going to get so much more power out of it. So anyway, that's the biggest upgrade. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. But another thing I wanted to point out, too, is that earlier this year, I laid the bike down. That's right. I did it, and I screwed up. 1000% my fault, and allow me to explain. So basically what happened was I was riding around in my yard, you know, like a freaking 7-year-old on a mini bike. And I had the tire pressure tuned down just a little bit. And I had it tuned down because I thought, you know, from my TW200 video, if you go back and watch that, I aired the tires down on my TW200 when I was in the Black Hills in the mountains, and it tremendously helped with traction. So I was trail riding this thing one day, dropped the PSI way down on it, and it did not help my traction at all. The bike got way squirrelier, and I was kind of stuck riding it like that. Well, I came home one day and I forgot that I had to turn the pressure down, and basically what I ended up doing, I was going around a corner in my front yard around a tree, and I was fiddling with the shifter trying to downshift, and I don't remember, I think I had like a false neutral or something like that, and I was going to try and go around a tree and go around a corner. I had the option to go straight, should have went straight, but totally okay, not a huge deal. And basically I ended up going around the corner, fiddling with the shifter, and in that corner I slammed the front brake. Now, these don't have ABS. They have a leading link front suspension, and you know, and that's great. It works really good for anti-dive, but out. So I went down, snapped the clutch lever. We bent the absolute dog crap out of the shift lever, and I scraped up the exhaust pretty good. You can kind of see it there. Hence the other reason why we're throwing a Motocult on it. Because why not? You know, get a little scratch on it. Whoop, upgrade it. Forget it. So managed to bend this back, and then when I was at the Janus Owners Rally 2 videos ago, I managed to get a new shift lever, or clutch lever, not shift lever, and the one on the other side, I ground the paint off of it because my temporary one that I rigged up from my old TW200 one was polished, and so I ground the paint off the other one to give it the polished look. And then, of course, my replacement was black. So now I got to repaint the other side. Not a huge deal. So let's get started. I think I'm going to go ahead and get this thing moving. All right, first order of business, let's get this exhaust off. There we go. It's that simple with some editing magic. You guys don't gotta watch me unbolt everything. And just like that, kind of make a cool little wall piece, wouldn't it? Yeah, I like that. All right, moving on. Next up, we got to get this turn signal taillight assembly off. So, like I said earlier, I kind of already have unbolted everything, just so that way we could get the new taillight measured up. So we'll go ahead and get this off, and I'm just going to kind of disassemble everything right now and then go from there. Just like that. Now we got to get this front tire off. Alright, so it looks like there's a cotter pin inside this nut over here, so we'll pull that cotter pin out. I've never pulled one of these wheels off of a Janus before, so this is going to be kind of interesting. There's no nut on this side. Looks like you just stick like a screwdriver or something in there, and should just pop apart. There we go. Alright, so that looks like a 19 to me. And it is. Nice. Oh boy, this is going to get sketchy. Yes, there we go. Okay, I mean, looks like an axle. Oh wow, that was easy. Okay, that went way smoother than I thought it was going to. Holy crap. So, stupid easy to take that wheel off, evidently. I was going to take the rear one off too, but honestly, this thing's kind of just dangling on my little scissor jack, so I'm going to wait to take this one off until I'm actually ready to do the tires. So, I'm still waiting on the exhaust to come. It should be here in like 2 days, but I think in the meantime, I just wanted to get everything kind of started to take it apart and go from there. So, yeah. Alright, so let's get these tires changed. Alright, so I have a very easy way to do this. Don't mind my neighbor. He must be trying to sight in his shotgun or something. But basically, a Harbor Freight tire changer. That's kind of just what I use on everything. Street bikes, off-road bikes, whatever. And this isn't going to work. Yeah, let me show you why. Alright, simple reason. This is the bore diameter of the wheel on the Janus, and then this is the spindle on the tire changer. Now, I'm pretty good when it comes to holes and rods. Sorry. And I know that this is not going to work. I've ran into this problem before on small bikes. So unfortunately, I'm either going to take this rod out or I'm just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and just put it on the ground and throw some spoons at it. So I guess we'll do that. Okay, so starting with a stem tool, we are going to remove the stem on the wheel. Tool goes up inside here. That goes aside. And cool. Now we can go ahead and pop it off the bead. So now to do this, basically, I got 2 tire spoons from Harbor Freight. And we have some rim protectors from Motion Pro. You can buy these right on Amazon. Essential if you have black wheels. I expect these to not fight me too bad because smaller the tire, the easier it typically is. I haven't done this in a while, so don't laugh at me. I also hate doing it on the ground. Okay. I'm struggling here, so let me get this up and I'll get back to you in a second. Holy crap. Okay, after struggling for like a good 5 minutes, I finally got it. So I ended up having to bust out the soapy water, which, huge game changer. Use mostly soap and a little bit of water to take the viscosity down, or thin the viscosity of it a little bit if you can. But essentially, yes. I got my Motion Pros in there doing their job. Awesome. All right, let's get that first bead off. I can't imagine that these have ever really been off. Well, they couldn't have been because they're original to the bike. And these inner tubes are what feels like glued to the original tires, because wow, these things are stuck. And if they're fighting me now, I can't imagine how much they would have fought me in a couple of years. Okay, I'll admit, these are not coming off in your typical way. It really, like putting my fingers in there, it feels like this tube is stuck to the inner wall of the tire. Now, I know nobody glued it. I just think that it's the rubber compounds of the tire and the rubber compounds of the tube just kind of acting like a glue. So I'm literally having to go in there and physically pull the tube away from the tire. And that's taking longer than I'd hoped. So let me get this tire off the rest of the way, and yeah, be right back. Oh, geez, this is fighting me way more than they normally do. Like I explained earlier, what's going on is that the inner tube has been inflated against the tire for so long that it's almost like it's glued to it. So what I'm going to try, and I've never done this before, and I'm just kind of shooting it off the hip here, but what I'm going to try is I'm going to take the vacuum that's mounted on my wall over here, and I think we're going to take the hose and connect it up to this and suck air out of the inner tube. And hopefully that'll be enough to kind of pull that away from the, yeah, let's try it. Okay. Yeah, let's try this. Hopefully this will just, you know, suck the tire or the tube away from the tire. Oh, no way, it's working. Dude, that totally worked. I was not expecting that to work at all, but that worked perfectly. Nice. Oh, maybe that'll be the procedure going forward with that, maybe. Okay, now that my tube is done gaslighting me, let's get the tire off the rest of the way. I felt it when yeah, that completely has still pinch stuck in some spots, but I can at least work with it now, thankfully. So let's get our other ones in here, and hopefully we can get this done. Oh man, I'm like thoroughly embarrassed. I've changed hundreds of tires, but this one is absolutely kicking my butt. One thing I'm noticing is inside here, the rim liner is actually like glued to the tube. I'm assuming that was done to prevent the stem from sliding around when the tire goes on, but it's a problem because if I end up ripping that connection or damaging it, I have to put a whole new band around it, which I don't have. And I only have one spare tube to work with. Normally I put new tubes in, but I don't. I figured, I'm like, well, it's 2018, so the tubes are probably fine. And they are. I mean, I'm looking at them here, and it looks good. But now I'm really worried that I'm going to rip it. So I'm going to fart around with this for a little while, and hopefully we can get this off. Okay. Wow. Yep. I had confirmed it. Perfect. So that's exactly what happened. See that little divot right there? Somebody had glued the inner tube to the rim or the bead, or God, what do you call that? The rim strap? I don't even know. Somebody glued it to it. I'm assuming right there. You can see that little rough spot. Somebody glued it there to probably prevent it from moving around on them while they mounted it up. But that's all right. Got it out, and I think we got it out unscathed. So I'm going to try to reuse this. So, because it's in really nice shape yet. But I'll tell you one thing. Let me teach you guys something if you don't already know this. Every DOT rated tire has a date code on it. You just look for the DOT right there, and then it's going to be followed by a bunch of junk. But what you're really looking for is this molding here. This says 1518. So that means that is the 15th week of 2018. So that means that this tire was produced in, oh my God, I don't even really know, like a third of the way through 2018. So it's end of 2025 right now, just about. So again, old. Let's go ahead and get the new rubber slapped on, and then I'm going to skip the rear wheel because I don't want you guys to watch me struggle on the rear one too. Okay, lesson number 2. Just got the fresh tire here. Most motorcycle tires are directional. They have to be mounted a certain way. If you mount it up the wrong way and you're like, oh crap, there is no, oh well, it should be fine. There is none of that. It needs to be mounted the correct way. On these more off-road-esque type tires, it really doesn't matter too much. There's an arrow usually on them. Here it is. Here's an arrow, and it's pointing that way, down that way. And then on this side, it's the same exact deal. So it's pointing in 2 different directions on both sides of the wheel, or the tire. So that means that this tire is bidirectional. It doesn't matter. It means it can go on either way. Look at the tread pattern too. It's the exact same either way. This tire will be just as happy forwards as it is backwards. But not every bike is like that. So I just wanted to point that out. I just went ahead and got the tube stuffed in there. So let's go ahead and get that mounted up. There's a little, almost like a type of compression style washer type flange thing on there. So I'd imagine that's got to press onto the wheel. So let's get that mounted up. I'm going to go ahead and just put this nut on straight away. And then just kind of work it. Not very tight though. A little bit of soap and water. Got it. Trying to be careful not to damage the tube. Okay, off to a halfway decent start, I guess. Now let's go ahead and get the other side in. I'm going to squirt a little bit on my hand and then just run it on the inside here. What that's going to do is that's going to coat the inside of the tire and allow that to slip on, hopefully a little bit easier. And I got to start away from the valve stem because otherwise I could damage the valve stem trying to start on that side. So this is going on a lot easier than it came off. And just like that, we're on. Now we're going to go ahead and throw our inner valve core in that we'd removed earlier to take the air out. And then we're going to go ahead and inflate it up. You never want to inflate a motorcycle tire past realistically 35 to 40 pounds if you can help it to seat the bead. So take it easy. Sometimes what you got to do is you got to inflate it a little bit and then you got to roll it. And then once it does that, then you can kind of help seat the bead a little bit easier. And then go from there. Sometimes if you got to shoot a little bit of soapy water inside here, just a smidge, not too much, that's fine too. I've seen people before, I mean, tire lube is ideal, but I looked up buckets of tire lube and boy, that stuff gets pricey quick. So a little bit of soap and water, more soap than water. You don't want too much moisture inside there. You don't want to rust your rims out from the inside. Yeah, a little bit isn't going to hurt. So let's get this inflated. That guy swapped out. I'm just going to go to my quick inflator tool and then grab my pressure gauge. All right. Onward. I wait for the couple clicks. And over to our wheel. All right, let's do this. Okay. So as I said earlier, you want to be careful here. One of the things to pay attention to is your tube. You want to make sure that as this tire seats, it doesn't pinch that tube down, because then you can wreck your tube pretty quick. So like right here, I'm noticing on the inside, I got a little bit of a tube sticking out. As I add air, that should it's very moist. I have it sprayed down a little bit, so as I add air, it should kind of flip in and shoot up into the tire a little bit more. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of air at it and see what we can come up with here. All right, so I just threw just a pinch into it. And I'm just going to go ahead and massage the tire now. And then I want to also kind of bead on it and rotate it at the same time. That will allow for that bead to seat evenly. I think that should be good. So let's throw a couple more pounds at it. Sometimes it even takes inflating it and deflating it a couple of times to get it where you want it. So a little more. Not too bad. Seems to be doing what I want. Looks pretty even. Okay, before I send too much air into it, let's check that pressure. Looks like everything already kind of automatically seated up. Yeah, we're already at about 24 pounds. We'll shoot it up to recommended, which front on this bike I think is 32. Doesn't take much. Yeah, 32 on the money. So, okay. Put my cap back on. And I'll set this puppy aside for balancing. Okay, I'm noticing a couple of things here. First of all, if you look at the difference between my new tire, all inflated by the way, just dropping stuff, it's fine. No big deal. This is my old tire, and then this is my new one. You might put these two side by side. Look at the width difference. This is the front tire. That is a rear, or that is also a front tire. So we're losing. Part of me is wondering, like, is this really an upgrade? I don't really know. We'll see. I don't even know. I mean, these tires are probably better than these, but I don't know. Like I said, $100 is $100. Let's give them a shot. So I don't know. Yeah, but looking at the difference, it's like, wow, these are quite a bit. These Shinkos are quite a bit beefier than these Duros. So hopefully I'm not regretting. Hopefully I don't regret doing this. This is the rear one, and the rear one looks nice and chonky. And then you hold it up to the bike, and then that's like side by side, kind of right there. And then you look on this side, and it's like, whoa, what do we got? almost an inch extra on the Shinko that's currently installed on the bike. So I don't know, maybe these will cookie cut through the junk a little bit better, and hopefully with the knobbies on these being a little more spaced out than the Shinkos, hopefully it'll kind of make up the difference in terms of traction. But I don't know, let's give it a shot. I'm going to do the rear wheel. JK, hold on a second, let me tell you one more thing. I looked at my balancer, and my balancer shaft spindle is actually a bigger diameter. So I ran into the same problem with this too. Like my tire changer, I ran into the same problem with that. The spindle is too big to go into this wheel. So I'm going to have to basically just run it the way it is, which isn't a huge deal because there's no weights on it. There was no weights on it when we started, and there's no weights on the rear either, anywhere. Unlike my Halcyon, where it's been balanced from the factory. But at least it looks like it, I think. But I don't know. I don't know. Just skip a step, I guess. Shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rear tires, save you guys the board. Okay, tires mounted back on the bike. So it looks really nice. I kind of like it. Tread pattern's pretty cool for this. It definitely has that old school scrambler look to it. I definitely like that a lot. How it's going to perform, though, I have no freaking idea. Might not even know until next year when we get the bike out to ride it for the first time. So, and then I got the cotter pin all back on it. Put it on upside down because what I like to do is I like to, when these get bent back up, I like to be able to stick something in there and tap it down so the cotter pin can be removed easier. Some people might not like that idea, but it's what I did. So, yeah. All right, cool. Now I'm going to move on to the rear tire. I'm going to save you the complete boredom of that. Yeah, fast forward. Okay, we finally got the rear wheel on, except I forgot one thing. Yep, I forgot to put the chain on. All right, well, it's not a huge deal because the master link is right here, so I could just pop that off really quick. And then I'm just going to wrap it around it, reconnect the master link, and we'll tighten everything up. But that looks freaking cool. Does that not? That rear tire just looks so old school. I'm really, really liking that a lot. I like the aesthetic of this tire a lot more. But like I said, it is definitely slimmer. And I don't know if I like that or not. I feel like I like a chunky tire, you know? Camera probably don't pick up too good, but that's more like it. Something like that. So, I don't know. Good inch difference, I bet. But I don't know, aesthetically, it looks pleasing. And Janus designed these bikes to run these kind of smaller, knobbier tires. So I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to hurt nothing. But we won't know until we take it out for a ride. So, all right, I'm going to get this all buttoned up. And then I think I'm going to give it a couple days. And then we'll move on to the exhaust and the carburetor. Okay, so right as I was cleaning up, which as you can see, I got really far. No, I didn't. I kind of had an epiphany. Kind of had a moment of, you know what? I've always wanted a skid plate on this bike, but Janus wants $400 for a skid plate. Holy buckets. You can buy a Tusk off-road aftermarket skid plate for a TW200 for like $100. So I went ahead and whipped one up. Check that out. Made some brackets. Cut a little notch out right there for the case. Other side went right on. And then I just took some Ready Coat sheet metal steel. Look at that. Bent it all up. Bolted it up at the bottom here.
You can see where all that went and bolted in. Drill the hole for the oil drain plug so we don't got to remove it. And then I had some old rubber feet from a compressor from a refrigerator. Yeah. Solid as can be. I don't expect it to be bulletproof, believe me. But look at how that turned out. I'm so happy with how that turned out. It'll at least help prevent rocks and other stuff from bouncing up and hitting the undercarriage. I don't plan on driving this bike over trees or anything, but wow. And it took me like 2 hours to make that. So I don't know if I'm like really good or if I just came up with a business model. Start making these things and selling them. I already make the mud flaps. By the way, if you want one of these, I can't sell you one with the Janus logo. I put that on there, but I can't sell one with the Janus logo for legal reasons. But yeah, I just wanted to freaking throw that on there. How cool is that? Well, I decided to take a break from working on the bike. It's the next day. And I had to get out on one last ride. So we hopped on the Halcyon and rode out to Alma, Wisconsin. Sad day, guys. The last ride of the year. But it's all good. As soon as I get home, it's getting a trickle charger and it's getting put in the trailer. Good way to end off the ride, though. It's beautiful today. So, yeah, sounds good. Thanks for watching, guys. I got more parts coming for the Gryffin. So once those parts come in, I think we'll do a second video on finishing that up. I just ordered a bunch more stuff last night. I got a feeling that this is going to kind of turn into a laundry list of stuff. So, or at least a little bit of a more bigger build than I was planning on doing, but it's all right. You know, what do they say about projects? Project bikes, project cars are never really done. So, yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Beautiful freaking view. Oh, my Lanta. Probably not even supposed to have my bike down here. Oh well.